seen a lot of people online claiming that they can pay their mortgage, pay all sorts of bills, pay their student loans by flipping furniture. But I want to know, is it worth it? Today, I wanted to challenge myself to keep a minute-by-minute log of how long it takes me to flip 2 chairs. My name is Clara and this is No Can Do. I've been flipping furniture for about 2 months and I've made about $2,000. It's not a passive source of income. It takes a lot of work. Cleaning, painting, sanding, marketing, staging, coordinating with sellers. It actually takes a lot of skills to pull it off. I'm gonna set a timer and I'll let you know exactly how long it took to flip these chairs. So I have 2 of these nice emerald green swivel rockers. They're kind of a nice silky velvety. I got these chairs off of Nextdoor. They were $75 for the pair. I picked them up and it took me about 45 minutes round trip to go get the chairs and get back home. I put both of the cushion covers in the washing machine to save me a few minutes. Put them on low, cold, and air dried them when they were done. So I'm gonna put the cushions back in here and get to cleaning the rest of the chairs. Cleaned a chair using my Bissell vacuum and upholstery cleaner, which is linked in the description. And here you can see the before with the clean water and the after with the dirty water. It's always pretty dirty, but that's how I know that I did a good job cleaning. I finished cleaning this chair. Like I said, I had put the cushion covers in the laundry and I just had those going while I was doing other flipping. It took me 18 minutes to clean this chair with the Bissell Pro Heat Pet. Time for the next chair. I've cleaned a lot of chairs with this Bissell vacuum and upholstery cleaner. If you're interested in seeing a little bit more in depth about how I clean these chairs, I will link a video down in the description. I just finished cleaning both of those chairs. The first chair took me 18 minutes. The second chair took me 12 minutes. So I'm in 30 minutes on cleaning and 45 minutes on driving. So I'm in an hour and 15 minutes so far on these chairs. Next up, I'm gonna rip the skirts off and I think I'm gonna need to put on new legs. Let me show you. I love these chairs, but I'm always bummed to lift up the skirt and see pieces of wood there. It's just such a bummer because it doesn't have that nice clean look. So I think I'm going to need to put new legs on these chairs. But first, I gotta rip the skirts off. I have used a bunch of different tools in the past couple months, and the ones I will be using today are flathead screwdriver to wedge in there, box cutter just in case, vice grips, and needle nose pliers. The reason that I like to rip the skirts off of these chairs is because the dust skirts to me just look super old-fashioned, kind of old school. It's a technique that I learned from the YouTubers Jamie and Sarah, and Furniture Flipping Teacher does it as well. But ripping off those skirts just leaves room for you to be able to see the nice mid-century modern legs on them or the swivel rocker on them. And to me, it just brings these vintage pieces of furniture into the modern present day and looks like something that you could buy at Anthropologie or something like that. All right, it took me 7.5 minutes to get the skirt off of here and to rip out all the staples, but I noticed that there was a lot of dust coming out, so I'm gonna do a quick clean of the bottom here. The skirts are off of both of these. It took me 18 minutes to rip the skirts off, take out the staples, then do another quick clean on the bottom on both of these. So roughly 10 minutes per chair. I'm tired, my body hurts. So looking at this swivel rocker, I know that I want to take off these pieces because they're sticking out and they don't look good. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the swivel rocker from this chair and from its twin. I got most of the screws out, but there's one really stubborn screw that won't come out. So I'm gonna see if I can do something to kind of pry the wood up, because I think it's also glued on. Yeah, it's glued on. There's wood glue right there. Finding a tool with which to pry will be easier than said in this garage, because I have absolutely ruined it with all of my inventory and projects that are in process. Here it is without the swivel rocker. The underside of it's a little dirty, so I'm just gonna give it a quick clean. Oh, there's like, I need the vacuum. This is what the chair looks like with no swivel rocker and no legs on it. Feeling a little defeated because down here there's basically just this whole area where there's none of the velvet fabric, and there's like old foam sticking out and wood. That's what happens sometimes when you remove the skirts. So I'm going to have to make a plan for that. But yeah, it's just a lot of work. So at this point, I decided that I needed to put the skirt back on the chairs, just part way so you could still see the legs, but I stapled and hot glued part of the skirt back on, and it was pretty defeating to take it off and then put it back on. But I also knew that there was no way I could sell it in its state with the foam and the wood sticking out from the bottom. It just looked really terrible. Today kind of feels like what can go wrong will go wrong. It's just been tough. The staples wouldn't work. The staple gun was breaking. Everything's dirtier than it looked, even though I cleaned everything. It's kind of just a mess. It's taking forever. All right, I think this is actually gonna work. I'm kind of just folding this under. I'm gonna cut to about here, and then I'll either staple, hot glue, or a combination of both. I think it'll look a lot nicer. Can't believe that I ripped the skirt off only to then staple it back on, but here we are. So real talk, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I just spent an hour trying to problem solve the issues with this chair. Because there was wood sticking out on the front, I had to take off the swivel rocker, and on the place where the wood was exposed, I put the skirt back on. I had to staple it, I had to hot glue it, I had to cut it. It was just kind of a disaster. And then on top of that, I was going to add new legs to it. But when I started to think about it, this chair cost me $35, I think. If I were to add another $30 onto there with the new legs, I just don't think I could get a good profit for it or have it really be worth my time. So luckily, I came up with a different solution. So I'm gonna show you what I did. You will notice the swivel rocker is back on, and that is because I put it back on. But instead of having the wood panels facing the front and sticking out and being a huge eyesore on the front, I just switched them over so they're now facing the sides, and I think that'll look a lot better. However, when swiveling and rocking, it does feel a little strange. So here's the chair I just finished. And here's the chair I haven't finished yet. I've decided I do not want to put on this over here. I just don't think it's worth my time. So I am gonna take off the swivel rocker and then flip it around so you can't see it in the front. But then I'm just going to like glue the fabric under because there is good fabric there. I did it. I flipped these chairs. I'm still calculating all the time that I spent picking them up, cleaning them up, ripping off the skirts, putting the skirt back on, sort of, hot gluing, stapling. And I'm so glad I didn't have to put on new legs, but I did have to, as you saw, take off the swivel rocker, readjust it, and put it back on. Now it still swivels, but it doesn't really rock. I mean, it kind of rocks side to side because of the way the springs are, which is a little precarious, but I do still think it's pretty comfy. I spent about a week away from these chairs working on other projects, and when I came back to it, I sat down in the chairs with the swivel rockers turned sideways, and it just felt so weird to sit in. Honestly, it felt topsy-turvy. It felt like I was going to fall over, and I knew that there was no way I could sell a chair that did not feel stable. So even though I had already ripped the skirts off and then put them back on, and taken the swivel rockers off and then put them back on, I took the swivel rockers off again, and then I put on some legs. I also used some stain from Minwax in the color dark walnut, and I already had this on hand. These legs are pretty easy to attach. All you need is a screwdriver, and I had mine all charged up. I waited until a day that I had multiple different furniture items to stage because that way I only had to set up once. I took some nice photos of these outside with just a few props that I have, and I made sure to have a lot of natural light. So I don't have any good lighting yet in my garage where I'm working on these pieces, so I just tried to use the nice afternoon daylight to my advantage. Finally, I ended up listing these on Facebook Marketplace. I listed them at $180 each, but a woman ended up negotiating with me for the pair for $300. And now for the numbers. I purchased these chairs for $75 and I spent $23 on each set of legs, so $46 for the legs and the plates that the legs screw into. My total costs were $122 and my total profit was $178. As I mentioned, I wanted to know, is furniture flipping worth it? And so I calculated exactly how much time I spent working on these chairs. I spent 45 minutes driving to and from to pick up these chairs. I spent 30 minutes cleaning them. It took me 18 minutes to rip off the skirts, take out the staples, and do another quick clean. Then it took me an hour and 15 minutes to deal with the skirt issues. Then it took me another hour and a half to take the swivel rockers off again and put on new legs and stain the legs and stage them. It took me 30 minutes to actually list them, like write up the descriptions, edit the photos, and post them on the different platforms. And then it took me 30 minutes to actually communicate with different buyers and wait for a buyer to come to my house and pick them up. Overall, I calculated that I spent 4 hours and 48 minutes on flipping these chairs. $178 profit divided by 5 hours of work equals $35.6 per hour. I was honestly surprised that I made $35 an hour on these chairs. I think the process of flipping these chairs felt really hard and defeating for me. That said, getting paid $35 or $35.50 an hour to do a side hustle is a pretty good deal. I haven't heard of a lot of side hustles that you can just start right away and pay that much. I will say though that the whole time I was doing this, my back was hurting, and I think that carrying heavy objects without a furniture dolly or a mover is not a good idea. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe. I have new videos out every week, and I have lots more furniture flipping in store for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.